Thank you, Blake. Thank you very much. And hello, everybody, and welcome to the February ICS Community Webcast. I see we have a great turnout, already more than 60 people in the conference, and still getting more. So after a short break over the connected season, we're back with the Community Webcast. Very excited about today's session. I'll start off with a brief welcome, then have some community news. We'll look back to Connected a little bit for those of you who might have not had a chance to attend. And then we'll also look forward to some super exciting user group conferences that we have coming up in the next couple of months. I'm very, very happy to have two good friends of mine joining me today. We'll get an update of Bill Malczewski for the Voice of the Partner, which is a great feedback application that Bill has implemented together with IBM. And then the main part of our webcast today is a User Blast presentation by Matt Newman, and you'll get fantastic tips here from Matt about improving your productivity with the whole ICS collaboration tool portfolio. So let me get started with a brief look back to Connected 2015. I think it was a great event. I hope if you have not had the chance to attend, you had the chance to read some of the blogs. You could follow some of the tweets. Really great feedback. I think one of the main themes that I saw online was this was the best Lotus Sphere ever, which says quite something, as most of you know. So I really thought the opening session, which we started off with on Monday morning, was great. You see some pictures here. Jeff Schick celebrated 25th birthday of Notes. There was a great presentation of IBM Verse, updated UI by Scott Sauder, a fantastic demo by Luis Benitez, who you see here, of IBM Connections Next, and I think a very inspiring speaker, Philippe Petit, the man on the wire, had a great presentation, great talk, and also, as you see here on the picture, he kind of reenacted for us his first step that he took on the wire that connected the two towers of the World Trade Center when he walked on the wire between them. He also inspired Louis Richardson, who you see here in the center of the slide, and Louis actually performed one of Philippe's tricks in his session, and he balanced the hammer on his nose, which I thought was bittersweet moment for me also, and for many community members. You see here at the bottom in the middle was it Gurupalooza. Gurupalooza, as many of you know, has for a long time been moderated by Susan Bullock. This was her last Connected event since she will retire from IBM at the end of the year, and she really received, I think, a very warm farewell by the community during the Gurupalooza session, a really, really nice moment. We also had great community events. At the top left here, you see a picture of the Notes 25 party that we had on Monday night. This was sponsored by the IBM Champions Program, by OpenNTF, and the Social Business User Group. Thanks a lot again here to Amanda, Christian, and Celia for sponsoring and organizing this event together with me. We had a great turnout. We took some great pictures that you can see on my Flickr screen. There was a puzzle contest, a great trivia contest moderated by Matt Newman. We had our own signature cocktail, which was yellow, of course. A really, really great event, I thought. A lot of fun. And then on Wednesday, when the conference came to a close, you see here the traditional community picture that we took on stage after the closing session. Fantastic turnout again by the IBM champions. More than 70 champions attended. Many, many bloggers, tweeters, a lot of community leaders. Really, really great to see everybody. And then, of course, in the early hours of Thursday, the traditional official closing ceremony that you see here on the left in the middle, this year performed by IBM champion Sandra Bühler. I don't know if she's here in the meeting. She officially removed Matt's badge, which, like every year, brought the conference to an official close. So I thought it was a fantastic 4 days, starting on Sunday throughout Wednesday. I had a great time, and again, the feedback that we got also for the new format was great. So I would like to Also ask my friends here on the line to share their favorite moments with us. So Bill, what did you think about Connected this year?
Well, Connect for me really is the people, and the Lotusphere community and IBM community as a whole is unlike something else that exists in the technical world, and it's always just great to get together with the people. Drilling down a little bit, the quality sessions from the speakers just consistently remain top-notch, and was very happy to see the list of speakers this year. I enjoyed doing my first BOF as well, and we had a great turnout for that. Soccer Saturday, it was our third year, and we had an excellent turnout, even though we had to move it with the rain a little bit. A lot of people came out. We had a great time doing that. And we had our biggest turnout ever for Linux Fest 6, the 6th year, and it's been getting better and growing every year. We had just an amazing group. We sat by the pool after the conference this year, so a little different than in previous years, and we just had a great knowledge, a great collaborative session, a lot of good questions. And Domino for Wine, we had the group there. They talked about that as well. So just a lot of really good knowledge, really great people, and just a great location. So I really enjoyed it.
Great. Thank you, Bill. And also thank you very much for organizing those community events that really have become staples at the January conference. Matt, good evening, and great to have you here. I think it's late at night for you in Manila, and thanks for joining. And what did you think about Connected this year?
Mate, I have to completely agree with Bill. One of the greatest things about Lotusphere Connected is getting together with all of the people from the community who, a lot of them work very hard. They put together events of their own, bloggers, people who contribute all throughout the year, and then everyone gets together, at the start of January. And for you Americans, it's been a little bit cold, and I believe there's been some white stuff falling around the place, so everyone was pretty glad to get out of that for a few days and get down to Orlando and have a great time. Weren't you? Am I still on?
Yes, you're here. Great, thank you.
Now, look, the highlights for me, Ollie, I think this year the intimacy, particularly of the business partner, the product showcase. Traditionally it's been down in the basement over in the Dolphin, and this year to have it in really close proximity to the sessions. I know when I spoke to a lot of the guys who were exhibiting, a lot of the partners, a lot of the ISCs, they were really very happy this year with how close that showcase area actually was to where the traffic was, where people were moving between sessions. A lot of people said it was great to be able to walk out of a session during a coffee break, quickly duck into the showcase or Tech and Oasis, have a quick chat to someone that they hadn't caught up with yet, talk about a solution, and then head off to their next session. The other thing that I think was done really well were the small parties that were held throughout the week. So there was the Verse launch party, there was the Notes 25th birthday party. I think those little social events during the day actually really contributed to the social aspect as well this year for the conference. And that's something that, it's new and a little bit different to what we've had in previous years.
No, I totally agree, Matt, and thanks for bringing up the Techno Oasis. I think this was really great to have this in the center, very close to the breakout rooms. I think this really helped kind of networking, bringing people together, and bringing really the community aspect closer to Connected. So thank you guys. So let's move on. Let's from the look back in the past. Let me look into the future. We have some fantastic community events coming up in the next couple of months, really. So starting at the beginning of March next week with the Entwickler Camp that Rudy Knecht puts together every year in Gelsenkirchen. Fantastic, super technical event. And then, I think for me, obviously, the highlight, Engage, and I know Theo is here in the e-meeting. Really looking forward to get there. If you don't know Engage, if you haven't been there, it's the largest user group conference in the world. 300 to 350 attendees every year, great sponsors, fantastic speakers. Jeff Schick actually has the keynote this year. Ghent in Belgium is the location, supposed to be fantastic. And if you know Engage, if you know Theo, every location really kind of beats out last year's, which is always hard to believe when you're there that there's a better location possible. So I'm really looking forward to those 2 days in Belgium. Actually, the week before in Germany, in Bremen, there's the ICS user group organized by Stefan Zucker and We4IT team. Another great event. This was 1 day last year. It's 2 days this year. I'm really looking forward to this event. And then, of course, the beer bus that is now a traditional almost already after Stefan put this together last year. So the beer bus that gets attendees from Bremen over the weekend to Ghent to attend Engage. So two really, really great events. And if you have a chance, I'd really, if you're in Europe, I would really, really suggest that you attend at least one of them. Then Social Connections in April. I'm super excited about that, of course, because it's right in my backyard. This is the first Social Connections conference here in North America. There were 7 super successful conferences all over Europe over the last few years, and the first time that the Social Connections team around IBM champion Stuart McIntyre comes to North America. Should be fantastic. The agenda was just published yesterday, and it really reads like a who is who in the IBM social software world. So really, really looking forward to have many of you here in Boston in the middle of April. So again, we have webcasts, we have online communities, but if you get a chance to attend one of those local user groups, either the ones we have here or there's a whole bunch coming up also then later in the year that we'll highlight in next month's webcast. Please try to attend. It's always so much better to meet the community face-to-face, to get great tips, to attend sessions, and just to do a lot of networking and to have plenty of fun, which we always have at those events. So thank you especially to all the organizers here, the team around Rudy, Theo and team, Stefan and team, and Stuart and team for putting together those fantastic events. I'm really looking forward. So let's move on. The main event for today actually is Matt's presentation. Matt, I'll switch over to your slides.
Well, hang on. Bill.
Yes?
Matt, are you there?
Bill have something to say first? Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Bill, I forgot about you. I'm sorry.
I'm so quiet, yeah.
Oh.
I'm on mute.
Switching over.
There we go.
There we go. I'm sorry about
Excellent.
that. So, here we go. So, Bill, sorry about that. Very important, actually, and I'm really glad that we could add this here to the webcast. Bill has worked with a lot of folks here in IBM, and this application, the system that Bill has put together is really a key for IBM. It helps us a lot to work with the partners, to receive the feedback, to get the feedback from the partners, and then also to track it inside of IBM. So Bill, I'll hand it over to you with an introduction and update on the voice of the partner.
Thank you, Ali. Appreciate the introduction. Thanks, Matt. Before I get started, I just want to say, if we could, on a technical matter, I've been reading the chat. Femke, Ralph, and a few others are saying that the audio is not working. So can we have somebody take a look at that behind the scenes? Ali, can you ping the appropriate person on the call and see, because they're they're getting music and they're not able to dial in and get the audio.
Sure, and let me just actually add there was an update on the conference numbers. Let me put the updated conference dialed-in numbers again in the chat. Thank you, Bill. Go ahead, Bill.
Okay, great. So, hi everybody, thanks, and good morning, good evening, afternoon, and appreciate it. We got a great 106 people on the chat, so thank you. This is an awesome turnout. We launched Voice of the Partner in December. Didn't have a community call until now, so thank you for Ollie for allowing me the few minutes here to update everybody. So basically, Voice of the Partner is a collaborative tool with two main goals. First is the more subtle aspect, but it allows global partners to collaborate on common issues and establish scope and depth. That aids both the business partners as well as IBM. And I noticed when putting this together and talking with various people that individual partners in different channels would work with IBM, but they weren't able to get a lot of traction, and the issue would die out, and it never really bubbled up to the higher levels. So executives did not know that the issue would exist cross channels. And so, for example, one of the bigger issues we had, really there was an impression that it was in just the North American market, and we were able to prove through Voice of the Partner that it actually was in multiple markets in a few different continents, and we were able to collect stories, and now we're able to actually work in solving the matter. So that's a huge benefit as well. So, and the other aspect that we're tackling here is if we've all been to a session and you ask an IBMer a question at, say, an Ask the PM or Ask IBM type of session, or even just in a technical session, they may say, well, I'll take that back, or it's before my time. And so then you come back a year later and they've taken it back and you don't really get an update. Perhaps that person has moved on through their career, they got promoted within IBM, and they're on a different team. And so there tends to be a lack of continuity. So I saw these challenges and presented them to Alistair Rennie initially, who was the then GM, and passed it on to Jeff Schick and got his support. And they really have been behind it, and we're able to then put together a tool that runs in Smart Cloud to address that. So those are the two main goals that we have, and I think we've been very successful in working with that. The audience really is for business partners. This is a tool for business partners in good standing to be able to work with IBM on say, PMRs that have been open far too long and they haven't been able to get any traction. It's impacting their customers, or strategic matters, and they really have not been able to tackle this in an efficient way. But just because it's for business partners doesn't mean customers are left out. We encourage them to actually engage their partner of record and work with them. So if there's a problem that's impacting the customer base, partners reach out with your customers, get that information. And that's important to me because I don't want to put that relationship at risk. You have the relationship, you spent a lot of time nurturing that, and you should maintain that and not have to worry about potential poaching and other things. So we want to maintain that. If a customer doesn't have a partner, or if they're a very big company and they work with IBM directly, then they can go through the website, which we'll post in the end. Ollie has the URL there, and you can send a note to me directly, and I can post it anonymously. And that way, if you want to maintain some anonymity, or your channel rep doesn't know the best way to work with this, you still have another option. But it's important to stay with the partners. Setting expectations, really, there are no SLAs. There's no defined SLAs on this. This is a volunteer effort for me. I've created an automated process, so when you go through the URL in the blog post, if you use the link that's there to get access as a BP, that goes through the automated process. That's the fastest way to get access and get questions answered. My partner at IBM, Prabhu, has been phenomenal with working on the IBM side, creating the framework that we've been building within IBM, getting rid of the stigma of career killer. Well, I don't want to be attached to an issue that'll kill my career, and letting them realize that that's actually not the case. We've got a lot of executives support at the highest levels, as I mentioned, Jeff Schick and Lou Sassano, but all down to their team members across multiple lines. I don't want to go through the list because I'll inevitably leave somebody out. But we've been really encouraged by the level of support that we've been getting. And so we're building this framework over time to allow people to come in and the issues that are important to the community. And the other expectation I want to set is that quarterly we have an update. So we have a dashboard with updates on the issues, who's in charge of the issues. And rather than waiting to the end of the quarter, our goal is to have it coming out the first week of the third month of a quarter. So March being the third month of Q1, we're actually going to have the updates to the issue dashboard at the first week of the month. And Prabhu's working hard to make that happen, getting all the updates on the issue. So that's the goal there. So once we have that, go click on the URL there. We have the nice, easy to remember vanity URL. So tinyurl.com, voice of the partner, click on that. And you can go immediately in, read particulars about the event, about the tool, and get a little more information and sign up for it. As long as you're a partner in good standing, you're ready to go, and we'll take care of that. That is 4 minutes and 58 seconds, and I will yield the balance of my time back to Mr. Newman. Thank you, Ali.
Excellent. Thank you, Bill. And
Thank you.
Thanks a lot again, Bill, also for driving this, and thanks also to Prabhu, who's also here in the conference, supporting this from the IBM side.
Here. Well done, Bill.
Thank you, sir.
Now, let me try again. Ooh, this one. All right. But the context is there. The silver background does not come over well in the web conference, but I'll hand it over to you.
Oh, cool. All right. This is going to be really interesting. As Ollie said earlier on in the call, in the introduction, I'm actually in Manila in the Philippines right now, and I've got about 2 bars on my phone. The hotel phone doesn't work, and interestingly enough, about 3 minutes ago, I was actually dropped out of the call. So if I do disappear for any period of time, it's because we're having technical difficulties, and we shall resume normal service momentarily. Ollie, do you want to jump onto the next slide, Matty?
Man, I think I handed over presentation to you. Do you see the arrows?
No, I don't have arrows, sir. You'll have to drive.
Here you go.
There we go. So User Blast this year started a little bit different to what it has in the past. As Ollie said during his connected highlights earlier on, this year Susan Bullock actually is retiring from IBM. What I wanted to do with my session this year was just pay tribute to a couple of people who have really helped me in my professional development over the last few years. Number one in Gab Davis, who's always been there to help out and answer any questions that I've ever had. And of course, everyone knows who Gab is. And if you don't read a blog, then I seriously suggest you go and have a look. Gab's been the go-to girl with anything to do with administration as far as I'm concerned. So if you need any help, please feel free to, or please reach out to Gab and say hello. And Susan retiring this year. Susan's been a fantastic resource inside IBM. Anything to do with calendaring and scheduling for the last 10 or 15 years, Susan's been responsible for. She's actually been over here in the Philippines training up a whole team of support people to take over from her when she retires. And of course, she's been the best practices track mum for the last few years. So this was the first time that User Blast wasn't in the best practices track because, of course, unfortunately, I became an IBMer. So we had to move it over to the masterclass track. But Susan's been my track mum for a number of years. She's an awesome person. She runs an awesome track. Every single year she puts together a fantastic set of sessions. It is always the most popular track. So again, yay, thank you, Susan. Next slide, Ollie. Here we go. So there's the summary. Everyone's read the summary before. Next slide. Oops, Manila Internet. Is it there? Yes, it is. Yay. Okay. A few weeks ago, I was actually sitting with a colleague of mine, and we were actually discussing how we would put together a single screen that explained exactly how awesome IBM Notes was if you wanted to put it in front of a customer. So we sat down, we sliced and diced, we pulled together a few things, and it ended up with this screen, and this is what I actually posted on my blog a little while ago. This screen demonstrates everything awesome that you can do with Notes beyond just sending and receiving an email message. And as I've been traveling around and talking to customers in this region, you know, we've had phenomenal growth in this region in the last 12 months. It's been fantastic with the number of customers who are coming across from Microsoft, from Google, from Zimbra. What all of our customers really want is just one really elegant solution that brings everything together and allows them to collaborate more effectively. And that's what this screenshot was actually designed to do. It was designed to demonstrate all of the stuff that you can do with Notes beyond just sending and receiving email. Of course, Verse, which is a new way to work, is just the next evolution in what we can actually do with the Notes client going forward. The great thing, of course, about Verse, in the back of that is still all of the technology that we're all familiar with. You've got connections in there, you've still got Same Time, you've still got Domino sitting in the back end. Verse is just an overlay on top of all of that that brings it all together. So if you choose to use the Notes client in the future, you can. And I can tell everyone that it still works in exactly the same way. So even if you're on IBM Connections Cloud, you've got your Verse account enabled, if you're still able to connect to that with your Notes client and replicate everything in. So this is a slightly different version of the User Blast session which has been posted online. A little bit later on, I'm just going to go through and cover off on what all of these different components actually are inside your Notes client. Let's go forward, Ollie. Okay, so here we go. 3 things that you always need to know about Notes. Notes is a database, Notes is secure, Notes can access information from virtually anywhere. Of course, for all of our users, you start talking about Notes and Domino and they wonder which part is Notes and which part is Domino. That's really simple. Notes is the client, Domino is the server, Notes is what you use, Domino is the bit that the admin guys play with. Next slide, Ollie. My favorite infographic of all time. So for those of you who were at Connected, you would have seen this graphic. I absolutely love this graphic because it explains the entire Domino ecosystem in one simple, easy-to-consume slide. So right down the bottom, proven reliable infrastructure, collaboration in context, seamless uninterrupted workflow, and then all around that you've got all of the highlights of what Domino and the IBM Collaboration Solutions portfolio put together actually gives you. So open application development, a lot of the development sessions this year were actually really good. I love the session that Mark Roden and Mark Lusink actually did. What they were doing was demonstrating how you can use technology outside of the traditional Domino environment to actually develop applications that still utilized Domino's backend as the platform while using alternative web development techniques. So that was a really good indication of how you can use, or how a non-Domino developer, a traditional web developer, could actually utilize the platform. The Collaboration Foundation, of course, email, calendar, and contacts. Email is not dead. It is the lowest common denominator. Everyone has an email address. Even the people on Facebook who said say that they don't have email and just inbox me, they've still got a facebook.com email address if you know the user ID. Advanced collaborative capabilities, instant messaging, personal content library, office productivity tools, and then of course you throw in there the connections capabilities where files, profiles, wikis, blogs, forums, ideation blogs, media galleries, all of the things that we can utilize and pull together to easily share information. And of course, universal access, IBM are moving towards a bring your own client strategy. So rather than just relying on bring your own device, we're actually looking at a strategy of bring your own client. We have incredible back-end infrastructure that allows you to collaborate effectively. You choose how you want to connect to it and collaborate. Jump forward, Maddie. Sorry, Ollie. Next slide, please. All right. I love this slide when it came up. Of course, on the 27th of November last year, Notes celebrated its 25th anniversary. Yay! So 25 years of incredible investment protection, the ability to easily upgrade from version to version, to keep all of the information that you've stored in previous databases, and of course, no data migration ever, just new features year on year. Next slide, Ollie. All right, security. Hallmark of Notes and Domino, of course, always has been security. So security underpins everything that we do. I love the flexibility of the Domino security infrastructure. We have the ability to control granularly everything that actually happens, all the way down to an individual field in a section of a document, in a record, sitting inside an interface which you design, your views and your forms, sitting inside a database which has its own access control list, which may be located inside a secure folder. So if you want to segregate off which databases can be accessed by which users or even seen by which users, go and use your folder access lists. Of course, then you've got server access, which determines which people can actually access which information on which servers. And then to get in there, you need to have that two-factor authentication, that Notes ID file with an encrypted certificate that allows you to access the system. Of course, there's two ways that you can access Domino: native access through good old NRPC, Notes Remote Procedure Call on 1352, or alternatively account-based access, which could be from a normal Domino directory, person document with a username and a password. It could come from a third-party LDAP source. It could come from SAML, or alternatively single sign-on, the integration that we've enabled over the last few years with things like Windows single sign-on, for example, that seamlessly give you access to things like the Notes client or your Domino browser-based applications, make it really easy for you to get into the system. Next slide, please, Ollie. Sorry, Ollie, am I still online?
Yeah, you're here.
Yay! Okay. Choice of platform, an amazing array of platforms for both servers and clients. One of the things that I love about Domino is the fact that you can run the Domino server on literally the platform of your choice. So it doesn't matter whether you're running Big Iron, if you Steve Pitcher and Tim Green, and you're running iOS. Good old AS400 for those of us who are a little bit older, all the way through to a tiny little Linux-based system. So Bill's on the call. He loves his Raspberry Pi, and I know he's been playing around with Domino on Raspberry Pi. He's even got it running on those things. From the client perspective, we can run on anything: Windows, Mac, Linux. As a lot of you know, I'm a Linux fan. I run Ubuntu. I haven't used any Microsoft software for 5 years. I've got my fantastic open source stuff on there for things like document editing and doing photographs. But when I want to collaborate with people, I jump into my Notes client running on my Linux system. Next slide, please, Ollie. Choice of access. This slide, when it animates, is actually a little more impressive than just throwing up something on the screen. But what you can see here over the last 25 years, every major standard and protocol that's been published, Domino has actually complied with. So we started quite simply with just Notes access on NRPC, so it was Lotus Notes client to Lotus Notes server. And then as additional standards started evolving, we opened up the Domino infrastructure so that you could access it using alternative methods. So whether that was SMTP, POP, NNTP, LDAP, IMAP, etc., all the way through to modern standards through WebDAV, XML, JSON, and of course the new capabilities that we included with Domino 9 with the Domino Data Service that allow you to make JSON calls directly out of the information in a notes document or a notes view. There's an amazing array of clients that you can use to actually access the information in your notes databases. Next slide, Ollie. The architecture slide. This is the one that I absolutely love. All the way back in the 1980s, Ray Ozzie, Tim Halverson, these guys all got together and they really thought about how this notes storage facility should actually be put together. For us, for those of you who are developers, of course, you know how flexible the note storage facility actually is. You don't have to touch your data ever. So not once in 25 years have I ever had to go through a data migration with a Domino system. You literally shut down the server, run the software update, restart the server, and then apply your new design templates to get the new look and feel into your notes applications. I'm talking about look and feel on the next slide, Ollie. There we go. All of the development capabilities that we've added in over the last 25 years. So not only have we added additional ways that you can access information stored in a note storage facility over the last 25 years, we've also kept up to date with development capabilities as well. So with every single release, there's been a new development tool or a new design feature that you can take advantage of to consistently modernize your applications. For those of you with an older infrastructure, and I've got to tell you, I was with a customer today, they've got 20,000 users here in Manila. They're still running Windows XP, and they're still running Lotus Notes version 5. So all of the ugly applications that I talk about, they've got a lot of work ahead of them over the next couple of years to go and modernize their environment. Thankfully, they're very interested in same times, so they're going to reinstate all their licenses and upgrade just so they can get hold of same time, but that also means that they're going to be able to modernize their Domino applications. And of course, with Domino 9, we included things like embedded experiences, the Domino Data Service, and most importantly, XPages Mobile. For those of you who have seen the How to Create a Mobile Application in 5 Minutes demo, it's one of my favorites. Jump onto the internet, do a search for Paul Hannon XPages Mobile. You'll find how to do that using the tutorial. You'll be able to modernize your basic applications in less than 5 minutes. It's a really wonderful new feature. Next slide, please, Ollie. Application development. Native applications for the Notes client, Domino-based applications that give you a choice of development tools, browser, mobile, and API access. The great thing about developing applications for Notes, if you are a traditional Notes client developer, you can still use forms and views and agents and all the things that you've been doing for years. The great thing about the design being completely encapsulated, of course, you can replicate all of that and take it offline. Don't forget XPages in the Notes client. If you do want to give your applications a modern interface, it's easy, or not necessarily easy, it's a great process to go through to modernize your applications, to give them a new look and feel, overlay some XPages on them. If you want an example of that, go and have a look at the Team Room 9 application. The Team Room 9 template actually includes both a traditional Notes interface and also an XPages interface. And if you actually go into your Notes client and change the Notes client launch properties so that it launches an X page rather than launching a frame set, you get a really good example of how a Notes application can get a new modern look and feel to it, one UI web-based interface simply by switching it from a traditional notes frame set into an X page. Next slide, please, Ollie. Do we get TLS support for that version? Which version? Throw the version number you're interested in. Version 5. No, you don't. Of course, one of the great things about Notes and Domino has been the ability for users to create their own applications. Back a few years ago, we did re-include the Domino Designer client for free with a Domino Enterprise CAL. So any user who has a Domino Enterprise CAL available to them can actually install Domino Designer. They can make some basic design changes. Don't forget that even with a basic Notes client, any user who has at least Designer access to a database still has the ability to create and customize their own views even without having the Designer client installed. It's one of the great features about Notes that users can make very simple changes like that. Don't forget that Notes includes a whole heap of templates, discussion libraries, team rooms, journal, notebooks, blogs, all sorts of templates that users can use to fulfill a business requirement. And of course, the Nifty 50, which is a collection of templates, and if you go and jump onto the Red Pill website, Peter and Nathan and the boys have put together a great update to the old Nifty 50 applications, show you how they can be mobilized and modernized for a web browser. Next slide, please, Ollie. Here we go. OpenNTF. All of the guys who have contributed, at the moment there are over 10,000 developers who have contributed solutions, code snippets, entire projects into the solution catalogs, developer works, and also into OpenNTF as a community. Don't forget there are some fantastic templates that are available on there. All you need to do is jump into OpenNTF, do a quick search, find the plugin or the application to suit your requirements, and don't forget, because all of this stuff is open source, all of the code samples that you find there, you're free to use in your own applications. So please go ahead, jump into OpenNTF and have a look. Next slide, please, Ollie. There we go. Knowing your notes. So which part is Notes? Which part is the Notes client? So this is where I would normally throw up a demo, but I don't have a demo environment here in this webcast, so unfortunately I can't do that. But here we go. Which part is Notes? It's not just email. As I tell every customer that I've been meeting, for the last year and a half as I've been traveling around Southeast Asia, the most important thing about Notes is what happens after an email message arrives. And of course, that's where you start getting into all the cool stuff that Notes can do. And of course, extending Notes by using your Notes applications and then integrating them with your messaging and collaboration environment as well. So of course, Notes is the software, gives you access to Notes database. It can consume information from virtually anywhere. And of course, it's extensible via the Eclipse framework. Next slide, Ozzy. All right, so the client layout. So the most important part about these next couple of slides is, of course, your users don't know that a status bar is called a status bar. Your users don't necessarily know what the tabs are called. Your users don't necessarily know what the sidebar is called. So, of course, when they get on a call to the help desk and the help desk starts saying, can you click on the sidebar? Oh, which part's the sidebar? It's the thing running down the right-hand side of the screen. This is where it gets important to actually do a little bit of training for your users just to point out the major features of the Notes client and what they actually are. Next slide, please, Ollie. So here we go. Which part is the database? Databases are the native applications that we open inside the Notes client. Remember, every database has its own security settings. Every database has its own design, which, of course, gives you its own functionality and its own user interface. That's the great thing about Notes over 25 years. People have been able to customize these applications to create their own applications from scratch and then roll them out to the users to fulfill a business need. nearly every database that I've ever seen, and the standard databases certainly have their own profile settings inside them. So users can customize a lot of these applications or choose their own preferences inside them. And of course, one of the most fantastic things about Notes, replication. The ability to drag it offline who aren't lucky enough to have Wi-Fi on aircraft as we're flying around. We have the ability to work even when we're on a plane. Get back to the office, synchronize, and update everything that you've worked on while you've been offline. Next slide, please, Ollie. You're doing a great job there, mate. That's changing almost as soon as I ask you. Here we go. Notes database layout. So every database has exactly the same layout. Left title, navigator, view, selection bar, action bar, preview pane. Please, if you've got really ugly old Notes applications floating around, if you're still running Notes 5 and your mail template is that horrible green action bar, please go and have a look at it. One of the biggest complaints that users have about their Notes client are ugly applications. And of course, ugly applications are created by developers.
That almost sounds like we lost Matt. Are you there, Matt? All right, he's coming back. Let's practice his presentation so I can fill the gaps. Oh, Theo, you're right. He was probably cut out by one of. Here you are. You back, Matt? Dancing Ray, do you see me? All right, we're working here to get Matt back.
Hello, are we there?
We are there. Welcome back.
Yay! The joys of calling from Southeast Asia.
There we go, and we have 10 minutes left, so hurry up.
Okay, Ollie. Notes database layout. Next slide.
Go.
All right, folders versus views. This is one that we always have to explain to users. What's the difference between a folder and a view? A folder contains stuff because you put it there. A view contains stuff because of a criteria that was set by a developer. So we always need to explain this to users because, of course, they go and grab something in their sent view, drag it into a folder and wonder why it's still sitting inside their sent box. And of course, that's because sent is a view and stuff appears there because you sent it. Next slide. Here we go. Basic shortcuts. Control M, enter, backspace, tab, delete, insert. All the important things that you need to know. And of course, escape will close any window. If you want to know what all the keyboard shortcuts are in Notes, Control Shift L. Next slide, Ollie. Which part is a plugin? That's the cool stuff that you get with Notes 8 and Notes 9. So plugins, according to Mikkel Heistenberg, are cool, and everyone should learn how to develop a Java plugin using the Eclipse framework. Next slide. Preferences and settings. Notes contains over 1,000 settings. All of them are customizable. If you would like me to give you a document which contains every single setting and my recommended preference for that, please feel free to ping me. You know where to get hold of me. Twitter's easiest, @MattNewman. Let me know. I'll send you out a link. Next slide. Next slide. Here we go. Autosave. Make sure it's turned on. Next slide. Don't send ugly email messages. I had a customer meeting here in the Philippines yesterday, and the CEO was actually really upset because he was sending email messages to his wife on her iPhone, and on her iPhone, his email always looked horrible because it was being sent unformatted. Please don't send ugly email messages. Makes people think the Notes client is horrible, and it's not. It's just a setting. Next slide. Get your personal information management, mail, calendar, contacts, to-dos. If you don't like something about the way that your mail, calendar, contacts, and to-dos work in Notes, it is most likely a preference. There's been some really good advances over the last few years with the ability to change the way a lot of the things work inside your mail database. So remember, your mail database contains your mail, your calendar, and your to-dos. It also includes a hidden section in there with your contacts for those of you that are using the Notes client and then using iNotes or Traveller as well. So anything that you put in your contacts database will also sync into your mail database. Watch out for Notes 902 coming later on this year. It is a feature release. There are some really cool features. If you were listening during Ask the Developers at ConnectEd, you would have heard a lot of the development questions were actually being answered. I can only recall there being one entire 1 hour session. Next slide, Ollie. More tips. See the user blast slides. Is your stuff being backed up for you? Please turn on roaming. Yeah, go again. Go forward, Ollie. 10 minutes. Replication. Synchronizes your data, only does the changes. There was a really funny story that I told at ConnectEd that involved a lady in Japan who was chewing up her entire company's bandwidth because every morning she was deleting her local replica of a database and recreating it from scratch off one of the USA servers. Now the problem is, of course, that database had 2 gigabytes of data. So every morning this particular person was replicating down 2 gigabytes of data onto her workstation. It wasn't until we explained that replication only synchronized the changes, she understood it, she stopped replicating. The company's bandwidth issues suddenly disappeared. Next slide. Here we go, creating replicas. File application, make available offline, or file replication, create new replica. Next slide. What else can replicate? Couple of cool things that have happened in the last couple of releases of Notes. Number one, if you enable roaming for your users, not only do your personal databases, that is your calendar, your mail, calendar, contacts, to-do, not only do they replicate, your journal also replicates. What you'll also find is a lot of your Notes system settings actually replicate. So when you walk over to or switch over to a new workstation, things like your toolbars, your sidebar, your plugins, your widgets will actually follow you as well. And of course, activities can now also be taken offline as well, which is one of the really cool features that I love. I live in activities inside my Notes client. It's the way that I keep track of, currently there's 102 projects that I'm currently working on. The way that I keep track of those is by using my activities. When I hit make available offline, in the notes replicator in the back end, it replicates all that data down for me so I don't lose it, so I can keep up to date when I'm not connected to a network. Next slide. Search, Notes' most powerful feature. Learn how to use search. 2 search options, quick search in a view, and full text search to find all the information inside a Notes document. Next slide. Here we go, quick search. So before Notes 9, how did quick search work? You clicked any column which had a little triangle in it. That little triangle would then turn solid black. You type what you're looking for, it'd go and locate it. In Notes 9, it's actually a lot easier. All you have to do, anywhere in any Notes view, you just start typing, quick search will suddenly appear. It will allow you to then choose any of the sortable columns just by hitting the drop down at the top of the dialog. Of course, it depends on what you're typing, but if you start typing text in your mail, for example, it'll default to automatically searching who. If you start typing a number, it'll default to search sorting by date. Don't forget, in things like date columns, guys, you can use the magic words today, tomorrow, and yesterday if you're a date dyslexic like me. Next slide, please, Ollie. Full text search. How do you turn it on? Really easy. For any user who has the ability to create a full text index, of course, this is why we roll managed replicas out to all of our users so that they're not taking up any of your valuable administrative disk space on the server. You give them a managed replica, they can create a full text index offline. Please, if you're an admin, do it for your users' sake. How do we do it? More, create index, and then, next slide please, Ollie. Choose all of these settings. Tick, 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 tick. Okay, bang, couple of seconds later, you've got search options available. Next slide please, Ollie. New Note search. How does New Note search work? Introduced with Notes 8, works like an internet search. You can see the example in there. I've typed in 123. Just like an internet search, what that will do is locate any document which has the words 1, 2, 3 anywhere inside them. It will then sort them by relevance. Next slide, please, Ollie. Classic Note search. This is exactly the same search. You can see that 1, 2, 3. The demo that I did at Connected this year, you can see that my personal mail database is, close enough to 6.5 gig. It's got 62,000 email messages. It's been going since, 2004. I put a slash in front of 123. Now it finds only that exact phrase. By the way, the reason that I found that email is because that email contains an old PowerPoint file from 2000, whenever it was, and inside that PowerPoint file, on slide 2, it has the words 1, 2, 3 sitting in there. Next slide, please. Advanced searching. Once you've got your full text search turned on and you've got all the preferences set that I indicated earlier, this is where you get the good stuff. So you can see across the top there, I've actually done a search of the connected session database. I was able to find any of the documents in that database where the speakers field contained the word Carl and where the session ID was BP101. So you can see how easy that is. You can do advanced searches. You can use all sorts of constructs, Boolean operators. You can narrow it down, fill in example forms if you want to. If your users aren't super mega techie, there are even options in there for you to go and easily search additional fields by using criteria like speaker contains a certain value. Next slide, please, Ollie. All right, searching all mail and archives, introduced in Notes 9, fantastic feature. Came across a user the other day. They've got over 60 archives because they've been using Notes for a number of years, and their administrator told them to create a new archive every month. You can imagine how thrilled that user was with me when I demonstrated in Notes 9 how they can search all their mail and archives all at once. Couple of options that need to be turned on. The archives do all have to be listed in your archive settings in your mail database, and the archives themselves must have a full text index, otherwise the search won't work properly. Once you've got those two satisfied, hit the drop down, choose all mail and archives, type in your criteria, it'll locate everything. Next slide please, Ollie.
Matt, let me just tell folks, we'll run over a few minutes so that we have the whole presentation in the replay. If you have to drop, please do so, and please make sure you'll catch the remaining couple of minutes in the replay. And thank you, Matt. Go ahead.
Okay, so here we go. Back to the awesomeness that is IBM Notes 9 all in one screen. First feature I want to highlight is the one inside the yellow box. Next slide, please, Ollie. What we're dealing with there is, of course, business cards. Business cards, when they're integrated with your collaboration environment, whether that's on-premises or in IBM Connections Cloud, gives you access to business card information. That will tell you names, it will tell you contact details, it will give you the person's status update, and most importantly, it will give you access to that person's content. I use this all the time when I'm going to find files. If I want a really, really awesome presentation, all I do is type in Lewis Richardson. Up pops Lewis Richardson's business card in front of me. I click on Files. It takes me straight to Lewis Richardson's presentations, and I can find that awesome presentation, the one entitled Are You Nuts? Go search internet for it. Lewis Richardson, Are You Nuts? Next slide, please, Ollie. Presence and communication. How do we connect with people? Really simple. Everywhere in the Notes client, in views, in documents, and in the same time sidebar, you have presence information. Next slide, please, Ollie. Oh, have I dropped out again?
No, you're here.
You're online.
Okay. Next slide, please.
Same time. Maybe your slides don't change. I see the same time slide.
You see it? It might just be my really awesome internet here, mate. Let me just flick this hamster and make him go a little bit faster. So could I just confirm that next one was the same time slide?
Yep. So you see
Yep,
it too,
of
right?
course. No, I don't see it. Sorry, mate. I'm just guessing. So what is it? This one's not just chat, gives you the ability to connect with anyone from anywhere. You can see from this slide, the screenshot that I included in here, it's my favorite feature of Same Time is when I need to join a meeting that's being hosted with my colleagues. All I do is click on Chat with All. That allows me to create a chat conference with everyone that's being involved in the meeting. We can then annotate things as they're being said. Everyone can join in. And, of course, you can record and then email that as a transcript at the end of the meeting. Next slide, please, Ollie. Is that Same Time contact list?
Yes, it is.
Yep. So same time contact list. Couple of really big tips here with the Same Time contact list. Please be aware that you can drag things into and out of the Same Time contact list. You'll see there that in my Same Time contact list in the sidebar, I've got a heading in there which says ASEAN, which is the region that I work in. ASEAN includes the 11 countries in the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. If I want to connect with all of my reps at once, I can grab hold of the ASEAN heading, drag it into an email or a calendar entry, and it will automatically include all of those people in the address line of the email or the meeting invite, which is fantastic. The other thing I can do, because I've got nested groups in there, if I go down into one of the nested groups, for example, grab hold of Singapore, drag that in, that'll also include those people inside an email message or a calendar entry. And of course, if you grab an email message, drag it into your Same Time contact list. Oh, there we go, the meeting has ended. Yay. Drag it into your Same Time contact list, it'll update everything. Next slide, please, Ollie.
Yep, there's awesome feature highlight.
Voice and video.
That is. Yep.
Yep, cool. So there we go, voice and video. You've got someone highlighted, whether it's inside a view, inside a document. On the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see that I've got Same Time Unified Telephony enabled. I think the next slide there, Ollie, also talks about what same time unified telephony can do for you.
Yep.
So we're talking about voice or video calls, the ability to actually dial a landline or a mobile phone number directly out of your notes client if you want to. And of course, with SUT installed, you can have multi-way voice and video chats, and with our fantastic mobile tools, it means you can also do it on a mobile device as well. Next slide, please, Ollie.
Track project, actions and more.
Yeah, track projects, actions and more. This is, of course, all about activities. I love activities. I live in activities. Next slide. That one should explain all about activities and what you can actually do in there.
Yep.
Yep. So easily track everything that you're working on. Create an activity that defines the project. Add the members that are going to be involved in there. Split the activity down into sections if you want to use Prince2 or whatever project methodology you're interested in. Then throw in the to-dos and the entry comments. If you need to give everyone a status update, you don't need to send out an email, and you don't have to go hunting people down for information. All you've got to do is go into the activity and look at the comments. Next slide, please, Ollie.
Single source of the truth.
Single source of the truth, which of course is all about you getting access to the information inside your organization in one file. You no longer have to go searching through disk drives. You don't have to look through your archives. All you have to do is go to your IBM Connections files. There's one single file there which tells you everything. You can see who's downloaded it. You can see when it's been updated. You can see the comments and social tags. And of course, if you click on a link that's 12 months old, when you go to that file, you get the latest version of that file. Next slide, please, Ollie. That was files.
That's files, yes.
Yes, awesome feature highlight. Is that there's something in this message?
Yep, got it.
Awesome. There's something in this message. This is all about live text. So again, next slide, Ollie. What is live text? It's the thing that brings your email messages to life. If you haven't got any live text recognizers, please, please, please contact me. Let me know how I can help you in creating these and setting them up. They are really very simple to do, and it is the thing that truly differentiates what you can do in your notes client between any other messaging system. Next slide, please, Ollie. What is an action?
Yep.
An action is the stuff that you do to live text. So some live text appears in an email, you click it, some magic then happens, and you get instant access to information. Next one. What do I do next?
What do I do next?
Here we go. And so to finish this up, this is where we start talking about embedded experiences. So this is the beautiful new feature that we included in IBM Notes 9, action information directly from your inbox. It doesn't matter where the information comes from. So I've been working with some customers here who have Oracle Workflow. You know, they have the old JDE Oracle world. They have SAP. They want to include workflow processes in their email from those systems. They can do it inside Domino. Next slide, please.
Got it.
And that's it. Awesome. Got it. Yay. Next slide. End of presentation. Thank you for attending. Sorry I ran 5 minutes over, 9 minutes over. That was the 2 dropouts.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So I don't think we have time for questions. I think Matt volunteered himself, and I'm going to volunteer him. Any questions, please contact him directly. I'll make sure I'll include his contact information, and most of you know how to reach him, Twitter, email, etc. Bill and Matt, thank you so much for joining me this morning. So folks in the audience, if you're a partner, please make sure you register for Voice of the Partner. Please get in touch with Bill for any questions. If you're a Notes user, Please, any questions to Matt, please contact myself if I can help you get in touch with other folks. I saw some great discussion here in the chat, folks looking for developer help from the community. Any questions like that, please let me know, and I'll try my best to make connections here. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Thank you, all the 84 people, to hang on for an extra 10 minutes. I'll make sure I make this replay and the slides available on my blog on Social Biz UG, and I'm looking forward to talk to you next month in the next community webcast. Thank you, guys, again, and bye-bye.
That concludes today's conference. Thanks for participating. You may now disconnect from the call.